a CPDM militant and a civil society president, roles get confused. That's why it's important to clarify. We are showing compassion to Mr. Jevendo because it's tough to understand why he would be invested tomorrow but is summoned today for this hearing. They could have waited.
Du RDPC, ça ne nous concerne pas. Et là, le président du conseil général a été convoqué en tant que militant. Nous, on est venu lui témoigner notre soutien.
Ndo was summoned on charges of party insubordination. The committee's verdict is expected to be made public in the hours ahead.
And the president of the 4th subsection B of the CPDM in Cité Verte, Julien Abodo-Dutrion, has extended New Year's greetings to party's activists, accompanied by the distribution of buckets as a gesture of gratitude and solidarity. The event held on January 21, 2026 at the parish of Baptism of Jesus at the Cité Verte neighborhood in Yaoundé, within the Yaoundé 2 municipality, as you tell us in this report, Jessica Ndiwu.
The president and organizer of the 4th subsection B of the CPDM in Cité Verte, Julien Abodo-Dutrion, was received by party activists of the Yaoundé 2 municipality in Cité Verte. The meeting provided an opportunity for her to extend New Year's wishes and to distribute buckets to activists as a token of gratitude and solidarity, while also serving as a call for renewed confidence and preparedness for future political engagement.
Ça, c'est la solidarité, l'amour qu'on ressent et l'envie.
This gesture reflects the spirit of solidarity and love we share, and our determination to awaken the population so we can move forward and to do even more. I don't wait to be told what to do. I have always had a drive to act, and I have always supported our people through donations. After the elections, as you know, the situation was not easy, but we thank God. I wanted to restore confidence to our women, and above all, to thank them for the hard work they put in. Each community received 5 buckets as New Year gifts, in keeping with a tradition aimed at encouraging women activists and promoting a spirit of solidarity. With 2026 already on the way and municipal and legislative elections fast approaching, a message was delivered outlining standards of conduct and setting the tone and plan of action for the year. The CPDM never sleeps, and I want my activists to understand this and hold on to it forever. We must never fall asleep. The elections are over, but that does not mean we lower our guard. I wanted to wake up our women because there was some fatigue. Everyone was a little tired, and I wanted them to understand that we are not orphans. The meeting brought together militants and supporters of the ruling party for a moment of sharing and renewed commitment.
We always give women gift every year. She do it like 2 times a year. She's a very dynamic woman and a push woman. She always satisfied the militants to encourage them to work so hard by giving this gift. She brought all of us here to give us gift, to encourage us that we should work together.
Beyond the songs, smiles, and shared gifts, the gathering served as a strategic moment of mobilization. With 2026 now unfolding and key elections on the horizon, CPDM women in Cité Verte have been reminded of their central role not as pillars of solidarity but as frontline actors in the party's political future.
And away from that, a workshop was held in Yaoundé this January 22, 2026 to discuss ways of better preserving forest production. The UFA Reforest project was presented in the presence of partners whose goals are equally geared towards forest conservation. Details in this report. Contributing to the sustainable management of timber production forests in Cameroon is one of the objectives of the UFA Reforest and Resac projects. During this workshop held in Yaoundé on January 22, 2026, the initiators stressed on the need for regeneration and replanting of forests.
So in UFA Reforest, we're talking about regeneration, replanting. And there are some very practical things which the commercial sector, the private sector that we strongly support, where there is also a strong European interest as well as a Cameroon interest. They have developed good practice, a lot of experience, but there's still a need for research. So what we're seeing today is the combination of the conclusion of an applied project on reforestation.
4 years have already passed since the UFA Reforest and Resac projects were launched, and encouraging forest production in Cameroon is essential. In general, the project has as objective to contribute to the restoration of forest landscapes in forest production in Cameroon. After 4 years of work, we have achieved our objectives, modernized the companies benefiting from the action. Also, we restored over 1,200 hectares of forest in Cameroon in forest concessions. This initiative is supported by the Ministry of Forest and Wildlife, which welcomes the progress made in reforestation efforts as the nation is committed to restoring its forests.
En 2015, le Cameroun s'est engagé.
In 2015, Cameroon committed to restoring 12 million hectares of degraded forest and landscape. With this highly significant state commitment and only 4 years left to meet this goal, it is time to take stock. The UFA Reforest projects are already helping us assess the situation. A new tool to support sustainable forest management was equally presented at the workshop. And now let's take this press release which reads, the Minister of Transport hereby informs his collaborators of central and decentralized services, officials of structures under the Ministry of Transport, operators and authorized dealers of the transport sector, and officials of socio-professional organizations that the ceremony to present New Year wishes for the year 2026 is slated for Monday, 26 January at 10 a.m. prompt at the Yaoundé Conference Center. Signed, the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massinangale Bibehe. And away from that, in a rapid response to Yaoundé's sanitation crisis, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has pledged to equip the city's 7 municipal councils with 700 sets of cleaning tools within 72 hours. The message was passed during a security meeting on Wednesday, January 21, 2026 at the conference hall of the ministry, as you tell us in this report, Jude Kenji.
Following a security meeting this Wednesday, 21st January 2026, at the Ministry of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanganji unveiled a sweeping action plan to combat what he termed the collective shame of pervasive field. At the meeting, which gathered the Central Regional Governor Nasri Pobia, the Senior Divisional Officer for Fundi, Emmanuel Marian Jingdeng, and all 7 of Yaoundé's divisional officers and mayors, signaled an end to jurisdictional debates. Administrative authorities are now centrally responsible for public hygiene. Minister Paul Atanganji declared, tasking them with direct oversight of the Clean City campaign.
President Paul Biya has given clear instructions that administrative authorities should accompany this campaign, which in reality depends on other administrations. But indeed, the collection of household waste falls within the competence of others.
The strategy is immediate and multi-prone. A rapid 72-hour equipment blitz will dispatch 700 sets of tools, wheelbarrows, shovels, brooms, and rakes to municipal councils.
In less than 72 hours, the Minister of Territorial Administration will do is make his own small support to all the municipalities in Yaoundé with 700 wheelbarrows, 700 shovels, 700 brooms, and 700 rakes. So each council will have at least 100 wheelbarrows, 100 shovels, 100 brooms, and 100 rakes. So we have to accompany the process, and I think that it's very important for us to work with all the means we have. I think that if we are disciplined, we have to sensitize the population.
In a visible transformation, all roadside trash bins are to be removed for major avenues by the end of February 2026, replaced by officially designated dumping sites. The most notable shift is operational. Companies must now operate inclusively between midnight and 6 a.m. to avoid the foul-smelling field witnessed during the day.
We have asked the mayor of the city and all the council staff and mayors to look for appropriate areas where the trash cans will be placed so that we can collect household waste between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning.
These new measures places fresh demands on residents who will be required to carry waste 100 to 700 meters to the new sites. All dumping points will be sealed with warning signboards. Enforcement is paramount, with administrative authorities mandated to conduct weekly field inspections to ensure compliance. Leveraging recent state allocations, Minister Paul Tanganji framed the campaign as a necessary shared duty, urging them to work with the available resources, emphasizing that a clean capital is now a non-negotiable public health imperative.
And still in the same light, following government measures to address poor sanitation in Yaoundé, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji, announced the distribution of cleaning equipment to the city's municipal councils. As residents continue to face mounting health crisis, questions remain whether the move will bring lasting change. Jessica Ndium sampled some opinions in the city of Yaoundé and compiled the following reports.
Yaoundé is grappling with a severe sanitation crisis as refuse continues to pile up and sewage overflows in several neighborhoods, exposing residents to serious health risk. In a swift response, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji, has pledged to equip the city's 7 municipal councils with 700 sets of cleaning tools within 72 hours. However, many residents remain skeptical, questioning whether these measures will be sufficient to produce lasting and effective results. Some residents have welcomed the initiative but argue that without sustained enforcement and proper monitoring, the sanitation crisis could quickly resurface. In my opinion, the initiative is a good one, but first, there must be greater awareness among the population. The real problem is sensitization. Many people don't have the information. For example, someone could be acting wrongly without even knowing it. So, we must first educate the population, then enforce the measures.
Et après ça, prendre les mesures.
Vous voyez par exemple une ville où...
In the cities where we live, there are often no waste bins. People want clean surroundings, yet they dump their waste anywhere. First, authorities must ensure that waste bins are available across the city, raise awareness among the population, and instill a culture of cleanliness and responsibility.
Cette culture de propriété.
I was really satisfied because we must admit that we need to take measures that are truly responsible and effective. I'm not waiting, I'm taking action myself, and I encourage others to do the same. When you go to the cities like Limbe or Boya, you see that there is a lot of cleanliness. Despite these lingering concerns, others believe the move could mark a turning point if it is properly implemented.
In
urban areas, it's normal to take measures that help us live in a healthy and pleasant environment, but the sanctions should be reviewed. They say someone could be locked up for just throwing a paper. Instead, the urban council should intervene. If someone is caught, they could clean it up, serve the community. That would be more useful for society and the nation. First of all, the city must be clean, and I applaud the efforts to make the city healthy and tidy by the government.
Agréable et plus rentable pour la nation et pour la société en général. Je crois que cette histoire de
I think the issue of cleanliness in our cities has caused us too many problems. For at least 10 years, we have been talking about these orders in cities like Douala and Yaoundé. I believe a strong measures like this can be welcomed.
peut être la bienvenue.
As Yaoundé continues to battle persistent sanitation challenges, the government's latest intervention has sparked both hope and skepticism among residents. While the promised equipment may offer short-term relief, many insist that lasting change will depend on consistent follow-up, accountability at the municipal level, and the active involvement of citizens. For now, all eyes remain on local councils to see whether this pledge will translate into a cleaner and healthier city.
And in Cameroon, doubts about the authenticity of some issued medical certificates are being brought to light. Many obtain medical certificates without any prior examinations, justifying the issuance of these documents. Mimi Tobo made findings about this and compiled the following report for the news.
There is a crisis of confidence regarding medical certificate issues in Cameroonians' hospital. It is common knowledge that these documents are delivered upon payment as if they were ordinary goods. This undermines their authenticity, as a medical certificate must meet the following requirements.
Pour l'établissement de ce certificat médical, il faut effectivement examiner.
The medical certificate delivered without examination is indeed illegal. Even when you ask the establishment or the delivery of a medical certificate by telephone, you must know that this one cannot be valid. It is illegal. We also know that the medical certificate must be based on medical facts found during the examination or on the patient's real statement.
Sur des déclarations véritables du patient.
Medical certificate is considered fake if it is issued without prior consultation with the patients. Regularly, I often decide to do so because when considering one's health status, let's assume for example in the army, you do fraudulous act like that. There are practical activities you may encounter where your body may not be compatible with, putting at risk yourself. That's why I regularly ask that my health status be consulted before doing so. A medical certificate is also deemed fake if it is issued by a healthcare facility that is not authorized to do so under the relevant regulations. Not all healthcare facilities are empowered to issue medical certificates. If a medical certificate is found to be false, or if it's deemed to be false by a court, it constitutes an offense under Article 259 of the Penal Code, which deals with false medical certificate. Both the person who issues false medical certificate and the person who uses it can face penalties. The penalty for issuing a false medical certificate is not reduced even if the certificate is used in a court of law. In other words, the person who issues a false medical certificate and the person who uses it to gain an advantage can face severe consequences. According to others, preventing the misuse of medical certificate is essential to ensure that there are issues in accordance with the relevant regulations and enforced.
And extreme violence is rapidly increasing in Cameroon, with murder becoming disturbingly frequent as some individuals fall victim of homicide in the hands of their loved ones. What is driving this alarming trend? Perspectives from a psychologist and sociologist shared tells us more about this issue. Let's watch. The phenomenon of murdering loved ones is becoming increasingly common in several towns across Cameroon. Recently, Dong Bragam, a family man, was tortured and murdered in Bafia by his cousin, who later attempted to sell his body parts as meat. Law enforcement officers on January 22 also presented a suspected murderer in Kolmetet, accused of killing his wife. The rise in cases where close relatives become victims of extreme violence is deeply concerning, highlighting the urgent role that families and society must play in ending such acts.
We no longer have a society with well-defined values or a society where the law enables individuals to be in security, or even the one that family members are protected or each family member decides to protect their own. Societal factors such as poverty and the lack of strong support systems play a significant role in provoking these violent acts. The caricature of violence in our societies today is just a bad response of what's going on inside the individual internally. We live in a society that fosters frustration daily. Our poverty is maintained, our pains, our disappointments, and this creates in someone resentment, jealousy, and all the like. And the manifestation of resentment and jealousy is acts of violence. Experts recommend promoting emotional intelligence in schools, improving access to mental health services, and challenging harmful cultural norms that may encourage violence. There are some things that should be well studied and defined, well observed, so that our society can be more secure. The state and civil societies have to do their job by protecting individuals and equally our tradition, because if in a society we don't tell a child that this person is your senior, how will respect be implemented? Murder and extreme violence bring no good to society, only harm and lasting trauma.
And the road transport sector has suffered heavy losses in the wake of post-election protests as nearly 40 trucks loaded with goods were destroyed. The alarming assessment was presented by the transport union in the city of Douala during an important meeting. Jessica Ndiwum throws more light.
The meeting, once again held in the conference room of the National Union of Road Transporters of Cameroun in the Littoral Branch on January 19th, followed an earlier session that took place on January 15th, 2026, during which leaders of the Transport Union platform assessed the impact of the post-election crisis on their activities. The trade union must also provide natural support to the transporters who were affected. Yes, I deliberately say victims, and I choose my words carefully. This was clearly presented to the Prime Minister and government officials. Some people had simply parked by the roadside when tanks and heavy machinery passed and destroyed their trucks. And we also know a truck is not just a vehicle. We know how much it costs. This forms part of the overall assessment. The crisis that erupted in the town of Megana in the Adamawa region was a major focus of discussions. Truck transporters reported the loss of both vehicles and goods. To address this, measures are being taken to support the victims. The post-election crisis was a harsh lesson for us. You saw how violent it was. Transport workers lost about 40 trucks, not to mention the goods inside. We reported to the Prime Minister that during electoral unrest, all sectors of transport were affected. Intercity passengers lost buses. Cars were destroyed. The situation in the Menganga is ongoing because the problems have not yet been resolved. On the Douala-Yaoundé road, we have observed that security checks continue, sometimes with only a single police officer on duty. On top of that, road conditions remain severely degraded. Road insecurity, excessive security checks, and poor road conditions are among the major challenges undermining the road transport sector. Transport operators had this to say. We met with the presidency and committed that transporters will help maintain peace before, during, and after the presidential elections. We upheld that commitment, and now that the elections are over, we are resuming our activities. The problems have been brought to the attention of public authorities. While awaiting the government's response, employers and employees in the transport sector continue with the activities as usual.
And Polycarp Banlong, re-elected for his second term as president of the Littoral Regional Council, was officially sworn in at the Littoral Court of Appeal in the city of Douala. This marks the start of his new mandate in full accordance with the law. Let's watch.
Polycarp Banlong, re-elected president of the Littoral Regional Council and sworn in at the Douala Bonanjo Court of Appeal, officially beginning his second term in accordance with Article 310 of the General Code of Decentralized Local Authorities. I, Polycarp Banlong, swear by my honor and my pledge to serve the interest of the region, to fulfill my duties faithfully and without favoritism or discrimination, respecting the law in accordance with the values of democracy and upholding the principles of unity and integrity of the Republic. The special hearing was attended by judicial, administrative, and political authorities, as well as business leaders, economic operators, and traditional chiefs.
Polycarp Banlong est un homme.
Polycarp Banlong is a man who has always worked for the municipalities. He was mayor of Yanun. We hope that this time there will be more resources to implement decentralization. We have many road projects ahead. You know, we're in rural areas and rural problems are common. Water and electricity issues are also shared challenges in our rural communities. The regional development plan is being carried out, and Polycarp Banlong has made his term one of real achievement for the littoral region. Many foundations have been laid, and now it is time for their realization. This is a continuation. That's why I was brought back to continue the work I started. We created the region from scratch, and today we are making steady progress. The people are eager to see the promises of local development become a reality.
And that information from Douala takes us to the end of tonight's edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for watching and stay in the company of our beautiful programs. Have a good evening.